Welcome to the Town of Avon Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. If you are interested in having a copy of the agenda or the staff reports, they are available to the tables to the right of the audience. This meeting is being recorded for the public record. Because of this, we request that personal conversations are kept to a minimum and all cell phone calls are set to vibrate with any phone calls taken outside of the chambers. If you're interested in commenting during any public hearing, please sign up on the sheets located on the tables to the right of the audience. When your name is called, please step forward to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Please address your comments to the board and not to staff or the appellant. Your comments should relate directly to the case at hand. We do understand there may be several persons who wish to speak. The chair may therefore impose a time limit for each person. Federal law requires that the town of Avon make available to all attendees a Title VI public involvement survey. These surveys are on the table to the right of the audience. Members of the public who wish to complete this survey may do so and place them in the designated area. If because of a disability, any person in attendance needs assistance or accommodation to fully participate in this meeting, please notify staff. Thank you for your assistance in facilitating a respectful, fair, and timely meeting. Again, please, welcome to our meeting. Please stand for the pledge. Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ian, would you take roll, please?
Paul Guckenberger. Ann Inman. Here. Catherine Ransberg.
Here.
Marcy Tashler.
Here.
Marcus Turner.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Next item are the minutes. We have minutes from February 21st and April 18th. Did anyone have any questions, comments, concerns? And if there are none, we'll entertain a motion.
I move we accept the meeting minutes from February 21st and April 18th as submitted.
We have a motion by Mrs. Ransberg. Is there a second? Second by Mrs. Inman. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Minutes are passed. Next item, our request for continuances or agenda modifications.
We have none.
Okay. Public comment. Does anyone care to address the board? Now, with no one coming forward, we'll close public comment. We have no old business, so we'll go directly to new business. This is VAR 23-09 Avon Marketplace Surgery Center setback. Ian?
Thank you, Angel. So we have VAR 2309 Avon Marketplace Surgery Center setback. This is a request for approval of a variance of development standards to allow for the construction of a 19,846 square foot ambulatory surgery center with a 3-foot side setback, whereas 10 is required. It is located at 156 Avon Marketplace Drive. That's Lot 4C replat of Lot 4A Avon Marketplace. It is zoned C2 General Commercial, and it is located within Tiers 2 and Tier 3 of US Highway 36 Overlay Zoning District. It is predominantly in Tier 3 with just a small sliver on the northern part of the property that is within Tier 2. This is the property in question here. It's located at the intersection of Avon Marketplace Drive and Kingston Street. It's located directly south of I believe it's Urology of Indiana here. And it's on the south side of US 36. History on the property, not much. It was replatted under MAPA 2109 Avon Marketplace. And there's currently a DPR in process. That's DPR 2305 Avon Marketplace Surgery Center. And that's going to the Plan Commission Monday, which is May 22nd, 2023. As I said, this is a request for approval of a variance of development standards to allow for the construction of an ambulatory surgery center with a 3-foot side setback where 10 feet is required. Section 2.3C of the UDO requires a side setback of 10 feet for buildings within C2 general commercial. The intent behind setbacks, there are many of them, some of them safety oriented, some of them design oriented. So we talk about fire safety, so distance between buildings, uniformity in design for aesthetics, access to air and light, again, health. And none of that would be affected by the approval of this setback variance request staff finds. So we'll talk a little bit about the site. I'll discuss it, and then we'll go over the site together. I felt that this was more of one of those cases where I could kind of show you more than I could really tell you. So I'll give you a little bit of background, and then we'll talk about the site together. There's a shared access easement located on the southeastern portion of the property to the north, the Urology of Indiana property. That's 120 Avon Marketplace Drive. That easement creates what we'll call a bump out. I was trying to think of a word for it. We'll call it a bump out, which, quote, encroaches into the subject site. I use the word encroaches in quotations because it's really just the property's boundaries, but for the purposes of this argument, we'll say that it encroaches into the site. What would the normal property boundary would be. And that access serves as shared ingress and egress for both of those adjacent sites. So that access easement is already improved from the Urology of Indiana, and that will serve both parking lots. The proposed setback that we're here discussing today is only in relation to that access easement bump out, what we're calling the access easement bump out. The 3-foot setback only extends for 17.6 feet. It's just a portion of the building. We'll note that our ordinance prohibits accessory uses within any easement. So it would preclude anything being constructed there, a building that might cause concern in the future or now. And all the other setbacks are met. We are just talking about this 17.6 foot setback here. So here's the site. I kind of made this a little crudely, but to the north, oh, what did I do? Or what did Angel do? You're good, you're good. Okay, so to the north, we have the northern property boundary in blue, and you'll see this little zigzag here. That's what I'm calling the bump out. The access easement, that's just the northern boundary of the access easement. The access easement is actually the entire little rectangle area here. And then we have the 3-foot setback. And again, it's only extending 17.6 feet here. Some important details regarding the site. If you pull up the, if you were to look at the floor plan for the surgery center, that was submitted as part of the DPR. This portion here is actually a surgery room. So, my thought was, well, we redesign it to meet the setback, right? And have a little bump in, we'll call it, into the building to meet that setback. But staff's thought process is that this is a surgery center, so I'm sure that there's a lot of thought and design that goes into these buildings to make them function appropriately, safely. So I didn't feel that redesigning the actual building was a viable option. Likewise, this here is another access easement that runs north-south and actually goes into the property to the north all the way through, which of course they could not build in. So if you include both of these easements here, if you were to include the necessary parking lot setbacks from the property line, required parking spaces, they are very limited in their ability to design the site. Their staff finds the practical difficulty here. It will not have an effect on the public health or safety. And I believe this actually integrates better into the design with the property to the north. So I don't feel that this will negatively affect the adjacent properties. And for that reason, we find that the proposal meets all the required findings of fact, and we recommend approval of the variance subject to no conditions. And I'm available for questions.
Questions for staff?
So to your point about redesigning the building, this isn't generic office space where it's just basically drywall and outlets and switch and light switches. You have oxygen lines and all that kind of stuff running that are built into the building itself,
Precisely, it's
right?
a highly designed building, yes.
Okay.
Anything else for staff? Then we are ready to hear from petitioner.
Hi, I'm John Tierney. I'm with Mater Design, and I agree wholeheartedly with everything Ian said. So the variance, the access easement to the east there that we're dealing with was put in place probably with the mindset that there would be what there is now, a building to the north and the south, but that they would, if they didn't collaborate, one would lose out. And so the other building is obviously already in place. And as Ian said, access comes through there. So it works very well. But as you alluded to, the amount of design that went into this would very adversely affect the building if they had to redesign something. So that's why we're requesting the variance.
Excuse me. Any questions for, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. We'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Is there anyone signed up to speak? Would anyone like to speak? We will close the public hearing. Questions for petitioner?
So this is part of the same group, correct? It's just another building.
No, it's actually different. I'm not positive about that, but I think urology of Indiana is their own entity, and I believe this building is going to be run by Ortho Indy, but it's not theirs. When we started out, we thought this is an Ortho Indy facility. To be honest, I've heard they managed it, but for what I do, I didn't really care. But it's not Urology of Indiana. It's a different company.
Any other questions? Any discussion? I guess I'll just say that I thought Ian was on point with the report, addressing all the findings of fact. And that access easement certainly does throw a monkey wrench into using the site efficiently. So I certainly believe that is a practical difficulty.
Well, it's a big waiver to ask. If we're not asking 10 to 9 feet, it's 10 to 3 feet. But there literally is no downside to anybody
Right.
other than the imaginary easement line. And it is an imaginary easement line. It's on paper, but nobody can see it like a driveway easement where you see the driveway. It's not something like that. So I don't see an argument as to why we should not grant the waiver myself.
Any other discussion? If there's none, we'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve VAR 23-09, a variance of development standards to allow for the construction of a 19,846 square foot ambulatory surgery center with a 3-foot side setback, since it has satisfied all the requirements for variance of development standards under state law and subject to the approved findings of fact, with no conditions.
There's a motion by Mrs. Ransberg. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Tashler. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Paul Guckenberger. Ann Inman.
4.
Catherine Ransberg.
4.
Marcy Tashler. 4. And Marcus Turner.
4.
Motion passed.
Thank you. And going on to other business, We got VAR 2302, the Panda Donuts drive-through site plan administrative approval.
Yes, so if you'll recall, goodness, I can't even think of when this went through, but one of our previous meetings, we approved the reorientation of the Panda Donuts drive-through lane. And as part of that approval, one of your conditions was that they provide a landscape plan approved by staff with the intent of putting some sort of visual barrier to block headlights that may be pointing onto US 36. So I worked with the petitioner. David Gilman was very attentive and was on it. And he gave me a landscape plan that both the planning staff found to be sufficient. And thus, as per your condition, we did grant approval to that. So I've included that in your packet just for you to review there. I can answer questions regarding that. Other than that, that's all I have today.
There's no artistic rendering, I see.
Yeah, very simple.
A Hicks U. Those are good for blocking.
Any questions for staff on that?
Nope.
Very good. Looks like we are adjourned. Thank you.